Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me again, Golden Blue Dude. Hey, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. This channel is home of at least one college football video every single day. And we are on day 5 here at Disney, and today's Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. I hope you all have a great turkey day. And remember what you're thankful for. A lot of people want to focus on their stresses and their problems, but there's also a lot of things to be thankful for. So today, focus on all the things that you need to be thankful for. In this video, I'm going to talk about West Virginia football. Now, on this channel, I talk about pretty much everybody. But sometimes I do just a West Virginia video. This is going to be a West Virginia video. So for all of you that are not West Virginia fans, hey, you're more than welcome to stick around. I'm just letting you know what's going on. Big time news for West Virginia, actually. We have a transfer from Clemson. Lynn J. Dixon, talented running back, transferring to West Virginia. At Clemson, he had 218 carries for 1,420 yards, averaged 6.6 yards a carry, and that is second all-time in Clemson history with 13 touchdowns. Now, he's kind of had a down year this year, and Dabo Swinney is saying it's because he's not a team player, so some issues in the locker room. But I think he will be a great addition to West Virginia, especially since Letty Brown will be gone next year. A lot of people were kind of stressed out because Letty Brown's going to be gone next year, and Justin Williams, the 4-star running back, decommitted from West Virginia. Well, it looks like help is on the way, so the running game might actually be a strength again next year. That's actually been one of our biggest problems this year. It hasn't been Jarrett Daggy. It hasn't been the defense. It's been our offensive line and rushing game. But of course, people, they want to focus on Neil Brown and they want to focus on Jarrett Daggy because, those are the two biggest leaders of the team. And I get that. But really, West Virginia's biggest woes, the running game. It is what it is, because here's the thing. Letty Brown, 4 times this year, he's gone over 100 yards. Every single time West Virginia has won the ball game whenever he's gone over 100 yards. So we're 4-0 when Letty Brown goes over 100 yards. Next game, at Kansas. Usually this is a gimme game, but not this year. Kansas is looking better towards the end of the season. At the beginning of the season, Kansas was looking like Kansas. Everybody's going to blow them out. But towards the end of the season, they're actually giving people some games, and they actually beat Texas at Texas. Of course, last week, I predicted West Virginia to beat Texas, and of course, we did beat Texas. And we should have actually blown them out, but we gave up 2 chunk plays, and that's what kept it closer than what it should have been. So coming into this game, West Virginia is 5-6, fighting to get to a bowl, and I think they'll either go to the Liberty Bowl or the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, because I do think they're going to be Kansas. Kansas is now 2-9. West Virginia is coming in with the 27th hardest schedule. Kansas the 34th hardest schedule. So these teams have been tested. West Virginia is coming into this game as a 15.5 point favorite. I don't think West Virginia quite covers that. Maybe 2 touchdowns. A little bit closer than what we West Virginia fans would like or comfortable with. But I do think West Virginia gets the win. West Virginia averages 26.2 points per game. That's 82nd. Not good at all. But Kansas, they're only averaging 20.1 points per game. That's 118th. That's really bad. West Virginia allows 24 points per game. That's 49th. That's a decent defense. Now for Kansas, they allow 42.9 points per game. That's 129th. That's the matchup that favors West Virginia. Whenever we play a bad defense, that's when we can win. Whenever we play a good defense, not so much, especially a good running defense. Now on the year, our quarterback, Jarrett Daggy, 238 for 365. That's 65.2%. That's decent. He's thrown for 2,738 yards. At one point, he was the leader in the Big 12 at passing yards. I'm not 100% sure that he's still a leader, but it wouldn't surprise me if he was. 16 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and some of that, yes, is on Jarrett Daggy, but a lot of it is actually on our wide receivers, bad route running and not catching the ball. Case in point, when we played Kansas State, that first possession right through the hands of Winston Wright Jr., and it popped up in the air, and Kansas State intercepted. That wasn't really Jarrett Daggy's fault. It was a tad behind him, but it was in his hands. He should have caught that. And here's our biggest issue this year, the running game. Letty Brown, 204 carries for 909 yards, still has a chance to go over 1,000 yards for the season. 4.5 yards a carry. Last year, he was averaging over 6 yards a carry. That's a big difference. And he's also had 12 touchdowns. Now, for Kansas, Jason being their quarterback, he's actually a dual threat quarterback. 102 for 181. That's 56.4%. He's thrown for 1,251 yards, 6 touchdowns, but also 6 interceptions. On the ground, 92 carries for 404 yards. That's 4.4 yards a carry and 2 touchdowns. So we will have to keep an eye on this guy's legs. He can run the ball. Now, the running back, Devin Neal, 158 carries for 707 yards, 4.5 yards a carry and 8 touchdowns. So Kansas, they also don't have a great running game as well. And that bodes well for West Virginia. That's a good matchup for West Virginia. Now, for the most part, Kansas has gotten blown out for the majority of this season. But the past few games, they've actually played some close games and actually beat Texas. On November 23rd, they did lose to Oklahoma, but only 35-23. It took a fourth quarter fumble steal by Caleb Williams, the quarterback of Oklahoma, for Oklahoma to actually seal the deal. After that, November 13th, a win at Texas, 57-56. They actually built a tremendous lead against Texas. Texas did come back, but Kansas finally finished them off in overtime with the 2-point conversion. And then, of course, November 20th, a loss at TCU, but only 31-28. That's why I expect this to be a closer game than what we want it to be. I do think West Virginia wins this game, probably by a couple of scores, maybe 2 touchdowns. I think Kansas won't be able to score as much as what they've been used to, because West Virginia does have a really good defense. Kansas has a terrible defense. So my final score prediction, I'm going to say West Virginia 31 and Kansas 21. Yes, a 10-point win, closer than what we want. And it might not be decided until the last possession. So this one might be another nail-biter, and yeah, against Kansas. Not what we wanted, but hey, a win's a win, and that gets us to 6 wins, and that gets us to a bowl, either the Liberty Bowl or the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. Now, if we go to the Liberty Bowl, we could end up playing either maybe a South Carolina, a Tennessee, if they're bowl eligible. I haven't checked on their record. I know South Carolina is bowl eligible. Or we could play like a Mississippi State. Now, if we play in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, we could play like a Minnesota, or maybe get a rematch against Maryland. That's the one I want, because I think West Virginia is better than Maryland, and that was just the first game of the season, and a lot of mistakes, 4 turnovers against the Terrapins. I don't really like talking about it, but it is what it is. I think if we get a rematch with Maryland, we're not going to turn the ball over 4 times like we did in that. We've definitely cut back on the turnovers. We were a turnover machine at the beginning of the season. But if we get a rematch with Maryland, I don't think that happens, and I think we beat Maryland. So really, even though a Liberty Bowl invite would be the best bowl, I honestly wouldn't mind a Guaranteed Rate Bowl bid in a matchup against Maryland with a chance to avenge our loss to Maryland. Yeah, that should have been a win. But, you know, mistakes happen, and that's what happened. So, yeah, I do think West Virginia will finish 6-6. Kansas will finish 2-9. Maybe a better team than people realized or thought they were going to be. I think they have a pretty good coach, and I think Kansas is going to be on the rise next year. They might be fighting for a bowl within the next 2 years. They were in way more 50-50 ball games than what we thought they were going to be. Speaking of 50-50 ball games, that's what West Virginia's biggest issue has been this year. We've really only got blown out twice, and that was at Baylor and then the home game against Oklahoma State. Other than that, 8 50-50 football games, and we also blew out LIU, so that's not a 50. So altogether, 8 50-50 football games, and in those football games, 4-4. That means 4 times we've won by 1 score or less, and 4 times we've lost by 1 score or less. Now, I did include the Kansas State game. I know we lost by more than 1 score, but that was a close game. And it really came down to a 4th and 8, which the defense actually, unfortunately, folded on the wrong play. But, you know, I still count it as a 50-50 football game because West Virginia did have a chance to win that game in the 4th quarter. So 4-4 overall. This might be close to a 50-50 football game. It has the possibility of that. Either way, I think West Virginia comes out with the win, beats Kansas, gets bowl eligible, and then we'll see if we go to the Liberty Bowl or the Guaranteed Rate Bowl and who we get matched up with. Like I said, I'm for the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, even though it's lower than the Liberty Bowl, and a rematch against Maryland. Yeah, it would be nice to beat Maryland on the last game of this season, especially when we lost in the first game of the season to Maryland. So, yeah, that's why I'm leaning towards that bowl with the matchup against Maryland. That would be actually a sweet way to end the season. I know we've gotten 2 big decommitments from some high-powered offensive playmakers, Justin Williams and Kevin Thompson. But with Lynn J. Dixon transferring from Clemson, that actually helps out with that. And I'm sure Neil Brown isn't totally done with the 2022 recruiting class. So we'll see if he can beef that back up. I still think West Virginia is climbing. I know this was a letdown year, but I think next year we'll have a big bounce back season. If not, Neil Brown is definitely 100% going to be on the hot seat, and I will definitely be leading the way. I know I've given him some leniency, but if there's no improvement next year, trust me guys, I will be leading the way for the hot seat for Neil Brown. Way too much talent coming in next year for us to either regress or go nowhere. We have to progress next year. That's all I got for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.